Okay, this is one that's causing a lot of nervousness and consternation. So what about the a.r.e. 5.0? Does it make sense to start the process now under 4.0, or should you wait for the new version to start when it comes out online? There's a lot to say about this. So the first thing to say is 5.0, so we're in 4.0 now. 4.0 became the going concern a few years ago. Before that it was 3.1, before that it was 3.0. And so they periodically will change the exam, and there's a bunch of reasons why they do it. This one is actually a pretty big change, going from 4.0 to 5.0. It's, in my mind, a much bigger change than 3.1 to 4.0. But as I said, the content, the actual questions, like, architecture isn't wildly different. It's not like safety has changed. It's not like structures has changed. And so the gist of this is it's still the same exam, it's just organized differently. So, given that, I don't think there's any reason to wait until 5.0. I think you absolutely might as well dive in now. There's plenty of opportunity to be able to do this exam under 4.0 and get it done before 5.0 is foisted on you. So a couple things to say about that. 5.0 is going to start in late 2016. We've heard a couple different dates. It's probably November or something like that. They'll give us a hard date, probably sometime in February or March. But it's going to start late in 2016. So for one, right off the bat, you've got a fair amount of time between now and then before 5.0 even starts. But then not only that, but there'll be a very extensive period of time where both 4.0 and 5.0 are offered. And so you will have the ability to stay in 4.0 all the way up through 2018. I'm not sure the exact final month, but it's probably late fall, something like that in 2018. So you actually have quite a bit of time. Now, this is one of those moments where all the old guys get to say, in my day, but it is actually a useful reminder. Back when I took the exam when it was a pencil and paper thing originally, and we took it in 4 straight days. The exam isn't really any different. It's the same content. Now, there's a bunch of big advantages about why it makes sense to take one at a time and to do these things in sort of logical, really prepare for them and then take one and move through it. But think of all the folks in your office who became licensed, and they could do it in 4 days. You can do this one a month and get through it. And if you fail a couple, big deal, you retake them, and okay, instead of 7 months, it takes 8 months, 9 months, 10 months or something. That's well within the timeline of being able to do it under 4.0. So I highly recommend doing it under 4.0. The one big change, there's two changes. There's sort of a format of like how the content is being broken up. So right now, the 4.0 system, you have, say, structures, right? So we say structures, and that's in a silo. And then we have systems, and that's in a silo. And then we have contracts. And that one's not quite as in a silo because it's a little mixed together, but that's in its own silo. So I can just go and study structures for a month and then take the exam. I can study systems for a month and then take the exam. I can study the contracts and then take that exam. In the new version, in 5.0, this is a little bit of it's not quite like this, but essentially it's going to be more about the process, the timeline of a project. So there'll be stuff that happens early. Then there's going to be kind of, so early meaning before any of the design work happens. Then there's going to be kind of the things that happen around SD, preliminary design and schematic design. Then there's going to be things that happen when you're starting to do detailing and design development and that kind of thing. Then there's going to be, construction administration type stuff. So it's grouped in these other ways, right? And what that means is, it's like I said, it's still the same basic topics, but it now means that, I might have a structural question that's about pre-design. It's about before you even start. Maybe the owner hands you a survey and a geotech information about the soils, and what did it tell you about where the likely place you should be building is, right? So that's a structural question in that first one. Well, there could clearly be a structural question under SD about some sort of idea of spans or kind of the basic framing plan for a building design. And then under CDs, you could have a structural question about how the detailing works, or where the rebar goes in concrete. And then you could have something about how the engineers impact a change order, or how the payouts go when it comes to sort of different kind of structural issues in the CA portion. So in other words, you're not going to have that sort of siloed effect where I can just study structures for a short period of time. You're actually going to have to be thinking about structures all the way along. Now, we could say the same thing about contracts. We could say the same thing about systems. We could say the same thing about all of those different elements. They will all be through all of them. So to me, 5.0, I think that's a good idea. I'm glad NCARB is doing that. I think it makes a lot of sense. I just don't know if it makes your life easier when you're studying. There's something about just being able to focus on one issue at a time and just knock it off your list that seems pretty advantageous to me. So there's a big advantage in my mind to 4.0. The obvious big disadvantage to 4.0 is that it includes the vignettes. And God bless them, NCARB has tried so hard to do this stuff reasonably, but the vignettes are really kind of ridiculous. People get messed up just using the program. They don't know how much to practice. You have to spend time just learning a new program, which obviously isn't really about showing that you know the content and will make a good architect. So there's a lot of trouble with the vignettes. And I think it's great that the vignettes are going away under 5.0. I think it's about time. However, the vignettes are the devil you know, right? There's something you can actually study for. There's a lot of information out there about how best to respond to them. It's easy to make a mistake on one of the vignettes, but it's the gist of the scene is one that you can figure out. Whereas under 5.0, with this new strategy, they're going to have a whole bunch of very, very complicated question systems. Under 5.0, they're going to start doing these things which again I think is good, but I don't know that it makes your life easier. They're going to start doing these things that, like, they'll give you a bit of a drawing, and they'll give you a bit of a spec, and then a bit of a piece of code, or zoning code, or building code, or something. And then they might ask 10 different questions about that grouping. Well, that sounds interesting to me, but I don't know that it's easier to study for. So all this to say, I would just stick with 4.0 and belt it out and try to get it done under 4.0. But one of the big things is, if you are thinking about it, or you're starting to get worried about it, be strategic. So let me jump to the next page. Many of you have probably seen this before. We have another video about it. So here we are. Here are the new 5.0s. So this is all the 5.0 ones. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Here are the existing 4.0 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's this sort of odd, these dots represent the sort of content areas. I actually think this is not a particularly accurate version of the content areas of the 7 of 4.0. I think they're actually more mixed than this. However, this is the system that they are using. This is their official version of what the content mix is. And if you look at this, you very quickly will realize that if you, under 4.0, take those 3, so that's construction documents and services, programming, planning, and practice, and site planning and design, there's that whole big bunch of content that you've got taken care of. And the only content you have left, the only content areas you have left are those, which is for project planning and design and project development and documentation. So very oddly, if you're being very strategic about it, you can manage to take a 7 exam 4.0 and transition in the middle to a 6 exam 5.0 by doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exams. How weird is that? So there you go. If you're being strategic, at the very least, when you're starting under 4.0, if you're just starting now, definitely do these 3 first. Get those done, and then that allows you to then make a decision about whether you want to stay in 4.0 or jump to 5.0. So going down to 5 exams seems like a kind of a nice thing and a good idea, but like I say, to me, it's still the devil you know. I still think it's going to be easier for you just to bang them out under 4.0, but at the very least, be strategic. Start with construction documents, services, program planning and practice, and site design, site planning, because that's the key into transitioning. All these other ones, you're going to have to do retake the tests if you haven't done it in that kind of strategic way.
Well, thank you, Mike, and thanks again to all of you who tuned in and who have submitted their questions today. If you'd like to attend our next a.r.e. live broadcast on the structural systems exam, visit blackspectacles.com/podcast to register to attend. And just like today's episode, you'll have a chance to ask questions and share your answers with Mike for live feedback during the broadcast.
And if I can just toss in, if you have a particular topic that you think would be good to cover on that, let us know. If you let us know early enough, we'll make sure we get it in there for the discussion next time.
Yep. And to learn a little bit more about our AIA a.r.e. prep curriculum, go to blackspectacles.com where you can try out any of the free courses. And for those of you who are ready to start preparing for the ARE, and if you're already an AIA member, as a part of our partnership with the AIA, you can visit http://bksp.es/ARE-prep826 to get a 15% discount of your AIA a.r.e. prep membership. Finally, please leave a comment below the video to let us know what you think and share any suggestions you may have. I promise we'll read every word that you write and use them to tune our next episodes. So thanks for watching.